Hey guys, James Phillips here, joined by Brian Hale as always. This is your DME Southern Orthopedic Prep Zone. We'll call it bracket breakdown again this week instead of our preview show. But one bracket to break down.
Yep.
We're Class 5A. Jasper Vikings move on. All of our other teams lost last week, but Jasper hosting Central Clay this week in what will be a rematch of one of the best games that I've covered in my 23 years covering high school football.
Yeah, now see, I missed it the first time out because I was out broadcasting another game. This one, don't have to do that. So I'm very interested to see this one. Of course, it's not at Central Clay.
Right.
It's at Kiro. So we're going to have a lot different officiating.
Well, hopefully we will, but we'll be right across the street. And I think we'll probably have 6 people covering the game. So
yeah.
we've got as much coverage as anybody could stand, I'm sure.
Boy, your job's going to be a lot easier this week when it comes to writing up a story.
Yeah, I'll probably just have to write, and that's it. I don't have to keep up with any stats or anything because you guys will be there.
Yep.
When we come back in a few minutes, you're talking to a couple players from Jasper. Jonathan Bentley's talking to a couple players from Jasper. And then me and you and Jonathan and Jeffrey will all break down what we think about the Jasper game. And then we'll talk about some college football playoff and some games this weekend that may have some implications in that as well.
Oh, and by the way, for one particular game, I interviewed J.C. Collins and Parker Sawyer, and they, for one game, Auburn, Georgia, went out on a limb this week with us.
Oh, really?
So I have to stay tuned for their picks on Auburn, Georgia.
Yeah, I didn't get to come to the field when you guys did the interview. I was at the Veterans Day events that were going on all day on Monday.
That's a big one.
But it was neat that we got to actually get on the field and talk to the players on the field. I think that'll be a cool experience for everybody to see at home, too.
Absolutely.
All right, well, when we come back, we'll have interviews with Jasper's players, and then we'll break down the game later on.
Hello everyone, this is Jonathan Bentley at the Dayton Mountain Eagle, joined with a couple of Jasper players for the big playoff game this week. Guys, can you introduce yourselves and what grade you are in?
I'm Harrison Saunders. I am a inside linebacker, number 24, and a senior.
My name is Trayvon Samuels. I'm a sophomore and I play cornerback.
Okay, thanks for being here, guys.
Yeah.
Talk a little bit, you've already played Clay County once this year, played them last year. What's it going to take to beat these guys for the third time?
We just have to be sound in everything we do. We've got a good plan, and we got to execute that plan better than we did the first time. So,
right,
because it's hard to beat a good team twice in a year.
Exactly. Keep on.
Well, to me, my job, just don't be catching, in the backfield. I got to be locked on my mans. We just got to do better. No mistakes, no missed tackles.
Now, Kevon, you had a third interception return for a touchdown?
Oh, yes, sir, I did.
Week.
Well, second one was planned on. It was planned. We knew what they was going to do, so Coach was like, soon it take it to the house. So they was playing it. Third one against Dessler. I guess he ran, quarterback threw it, I caught it, and I just followed my blockers.
Do your eyes line up when you see those?
I mean, I knew I was going to get it because all I do is just look straight down the field. So I see blocks, and I just run fast as I can to get in the end zone.
Do you block for them on the way?
Of course.
Right.
Yeah.
All right, so first time around, 35-34. What was the secret that week? The first time you played Central Clay?
I mean, I don't know, we just had to step up because we were at their place. We weren't getting any calls. We were getting a lot of calls against us. So I think we just manned up and played and just beat them.
What's it going to take to beat them again, Kevon?
Focus. Locked in, no fearless. That's our word today, fearless. We can't be scared. We got to come out and just play hard on every snap.
Now, one thing I wanted to mention, last year at this time, what was this field like? Could we have been out here a year ago?
No, we would not be able to even interview out here, because we would be sinking into the mud.
Right. That had to be nice this year.
Yes.
All right, talk about, Coach Moore's been here 2 years. How has the community support changed? Have you all noticed a change?
Yes, there's a big change because I was a part of when we went 3-7 and 4-6, and it just didn't feel like anybody was with us. People at school would make fun of us, and no support in the student section. But then Coach Moore came and we actually got good, and then now everybody wants to be a part of it. We've had people come who wanted to play, and just everybody supports. Like that's why we have this field now. That's why we have the jumbotron. I mean, people are willing to help us so we can get better.
Wow, changed everything.
Yes.
What do you got to say about Coach? Keep on.
Well, this is my first time playing for Coach Moore. I couldn't play. I can't transfer from Detroit, Michigan. Couldn't play. So I used to come to the games, you know, so I was like, I'm just going to try for football next year since I can play. So Coach Moore, he's a good coach.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, 22-2 in 2 years.
Yeah.
All right, so the first time around, it was a shootout. The first time y'all played them here last year, 10-7. What do you see? Which one's going to be closer to the outcome? You think it'll be another close defensive game or offensive game?
I don't know, honestly. I think it might be somewhere in between, maybe, because they've got a really good running back, 16. But we've also got a really good offense. They got some good linebackers, but I think it could go either way, just depending on how we're playing.
Okay.
I mean, I feel like it is going to be a good game, you know. I don't care if we win by 3. I don't care if we win by 7. It'll be 7-0. As long as we win, we move to the next round.
Yeah, that's the thing about these games like this.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a really tough second-round matchup, the
Yes.
defending champs. Okay, y'all see the offense. You're on the sideline when they play. I think they're the first-ranked offense in 5A. Y'all are the third-ranked scoring defense. What unit's better?
I think the defense is better. Because I mean, of course, like I'm on
You gotta
defense,
say
so
that, right?
yeah. We're a lot. I think we're a lot older, and we have more experience than our offenses because like Parker's a new guy, quarterback, first year. But we have a lot of guys. Like we have 3 3-year starters. Like me, one of them, and then Sheldrick and Contavious were 3-year starters. So we played a lot of varsity football. So I think we have more experience, and I think that's what puts us above the offense.
You agree?
Yeah, I agree. Defense better, you know. If it one's for us, you know, they'd be scoring, and the offense had to come and score. So I just had to give it to us.
Y'all like watching them as they're going up down the
Oh,
field?
Oh yeah, it's fun.
Yeah, it's good to have an offense like that. All right, guys, thanks for joining me. Good luck this week. I appreciate that. And we'll be joined later with Brian Hill and some offensive players.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back. I'm Brian Hill, sports writer for the Eagle, and now we have members of the Jasper offense. Parker, JC, if you could introduce yourself to the audience out there, tell them what position that you play and as well as what year you're in.
My name is Parker. I'm a quarterback and I'm a junior this year.
My name is J.C. Collins. I'm number 20 running back, and I'm a senior this year.
Guys, here we are, another rematch with Central Clay County. And obviously, you guys remember how much of a physical, tough contest that was. Well, differently, this year, this game is going to be here at Kiro in front of your home crowd, your field. What do you guys think on the game being switched here and how that works to your advantage?
Well, I definitely think it's a lot bigger advantage to have your home crowd behind you and all your fans and your student section here, and just being able to practice here every day this week and then get to play on Friday is a really big advantage.
Yeah, the same thing Parker said. It's just a bigger advantage when you're playing at home because more people can come out and support you, and like, you know, it's great to play at home because it's your turf and you're going to be used to it. So.
But JC, I know you came back from a little bit of an injury hobble. How are things going with you? Do you feel like you're back at 100%?
I'm back at 100%. I'm just going to keep fighting for my team and make everything better for us. So.
Absolutely. Well, guys, I know as an offense, those guys in front of you doing the blocking duty, opening the holes for you and Caden, holding off the defenders for you so you can look for your receivers downfield. Those guys mean so much, very, very much to you. What can you say about the work of your offensive line this year and what they mean to you guys individually?
Well, they're a really great offensive line, really big offensive line. They've been great this year. They've held up for me, and this just felt like sometimes I've had forever back there. And with the run game too, they're opening up holes that anybody could run through. You could drive a truck through it. So they've been great this year.
Yeah, my O-line is big. It's the best O-line I ever had. Like, without them, I wouldn't be getting the rushing yards I have or need a Caden. But the receivers, they do a hard job for us, too, like, because they don't get the ball every play, and they still got to respect, like, the block for us. But so I'm going to block for them.
Well, lastly, guys, before we break away to a few other outside of the game questions, offensively, what do you guys see that you need to do to make sure that you advance to the third round Friday night?
We definitely have to execute better. Last game we have to cut down on the penalties too. We had 17, I think, penalties, 170 yards called back, and it's just we had third downs that would be over 3rd and 15, and we just got to cut those penalties down. So, I mean, it's easier to execute on 3rd and 5 than it is 3rd and 15. So, we just need to cut down on the penalties, and we got to play fast and stay on the right track and execute all our plays. So.
Yeah, same thing Percy said. It's definitely like the penalties. We got to stay on the field longer, stay way more consistent than we did last game. If we stay more consistent, I think we'll put up a lot more points than what we did last game.
Guys, it's been such a memorable year, I know, for both of you. The first time being ranked first in the state for this program. You guys are at the forefront of big victories against Coleman, against Central Clay County, a region championship for the second consecutive year. What's each one of y'all, what's been some of y'all's favorite moments of the year that you'll take with you forever?
It's just been great this year. I played my 9th grade year and decided not to play last year and came back this year, and I'm like the best choice I've ever made. It's been great this year, and being out here with my brothers and making all these memories, it's just been a great year.
I mean, the best memory I have at Jasper is like a Coleman game. It was so big to like everybody in Jasper. I didn't know it meant that much. But like Parker said, it's great to have a team with good team chemistry, and like I'm gonna remember this team forever. It's gonna be always down in my heart. So.
All right, now I know you guys have probably seen the On the Limb in the paper where we pick our games. So we're gonna give y'all a chance for one game to be on the limb with us. And the big game, obviously, this week is gonna be Auburn, Georgia. Who do you guys got?
Go to Georgia.
Go to Georgia. All right, JC?
I'm a big Auburn fan. I'm going to the game, so I'm going with Auburn.
Okay, we'll split decisions. I guess we're going to see exactly who's going to end this up. Hey, it's a big game for both these teams, obviously, so we're going to see how it figures it in. Guys, very good luck on Friday night. We hope that we get to see you here next week for the third round of the playoffs, so good luck on you.
Thank you.
We'll be back in just a few moments with another one of our awesome segments, so stay tuned.
Welcome back, everybody. James Phillips back. Brian Hales beside me. And then on the other side of the table, which is kind of close to us today, we got Jonathan Bentley and Jeffrey Winborn. And we're going to go over our thoughts on the Jasper game and then talk about some college football as well. Is that cool with you guys?
Yeah, you can actually reach across and do Mo and
right, yeah. Last week I was close to just trying to choke slam Jeffrey, but it didn't happen. But now I could if we get a little heated.
You know, it feels to me like it's an arm wrestling competition.
It could be. I would challenge you.
This would be fun.
I feel like the bigger side of the table is over here.
Then we'd have to switch.
The meat is over here.
I don't know. Jeffrey works out. He would be a very tough challenge.
Okay, we've talked about our power prize now. Let's talk about Jasper High School football. It's the only game in town. So who's going to win this game? It's the game of the century, part 2.
Well,
Jasper and Central Clay.
There's obviously for Central Clay, there's none of their home cooking. We're going to have AHSAA refs out there. So I believe
that might be a problem.
It's going to be a problem. To me, it's going to be a problem for Central Clay because they're not going to be able to make up that extra 100 yards that Jasper rolled up on them on offense. And I still don't see Central Clay being able to run effectively on that defense. So to me, I honestly believe that this is probably going to end up being like 35-21.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a 2-score game. I was on the sidelines for that game in September. There was a lot of calls that should not have happened, and there were calls that should have happened. I mean, I've never really gotten in on the home cooking debate with you guys, particularly when we talk about a certain other team that starts with an H. But no, I think that played a big part in how close that game was earlier this season, and I think taking that out of the equation, Jasper should handle them. Not easily, but it's going to be at least a 2-score game.
So how did that affect the first game, as officiating? Jasper would have won by what? What do you think?
I said at the time, if that was played on any other field, Jasper would have won by 2 touchdowns.
Yeah,
so
I agree with you. I said 2 touchdowns then. And I still think if you put the teams side by side, Central Clay has a very good team and they play very hard, but there's a whole lot more weapons on that Jasper sideline, offensively and defensively, than there is on the Central Clay side. They've got a few guys that go both ways at times when they have to. Jasper doesn't have to do that. And it was 170 yards compared to 50.
Yeah.
You know, when it comes to penalties, and it was 17 penalties compared to 5. That's a huge difference in a high school game.
Yeah, and don't take this the wrong way. I'm not taking anything away from Central Clay. They were the number 2 team in the state for a reason. They're a good football team. But if we're comparing Jasper to Central, I think Jasper is just that much better.
Right. Well, and I still think Central Clay may be the number 2 team in the state. They lost to Mortimer Jordan, but that was the week after that Jasper game. And how do you push that game out of your mind? You know, you lose on homecoming in double overtime to a team that 2 years ago when you scheduled them were 3-7, and now they come in, they're the number 1 team in the state. That's, how do you block that out to play your biggest region game the next week?
Yeah.
That's happened 2 years in a row now.
Yeah.
Where they lose the next week to Mortimer Jordan, but last year they won every game after that.
Right.
So it's almost the same exact script.
Right.
It's just gonna. I'm expecting kind of like what he said, 35-21. Yeah, I'll see something like that happening.
I think it's going to be really close early, and you know, I wouldn't even be shocked if Central Clay's leading at halftime, but Jasper will take over in the second half, and I'm with you guys. It's going to be 10 points, 14 points, somewhere in there, 35-21. I feel like it's going to be really tough for Clay to score more than a couple touchdowns on this Jasper defense.
I think one thing that's going to help Jasper is not just this game, but potentially moving forward. We talked all year about all these blowouts and how often the second and third string got in. It can't be overstated how deep Jasper's roster is. And you talk about that, keeping it close to halftime. Jasper can wear out other teams, and Jasper still got fresh players on the field.
Right.
And that's going to make a huge difference as they get deeper into this thing.
Well, and we've seen it game after game. The game gets to halftime. I mean, there's been so many this year where it's 40-0 at halftime. But if it is close or even within a couple scores, Jasper typically has gotten the ball to start the second half, and they will come out on the field and drive the ball straight at you for 80 yards, never even throwing the ball, and score a touchdown to start the second half. That's what they've done it 4, 5, 6 times this year. And that's something that will just break another team's wheel if you can come out and just run right at them. And then I think both teams have done some growing since week 5. Central Clay's definitely better, but Jasper's better too. And we've seen Parker Sawyer progress leaps and bounds since week 5. And I think that's kind of where he first really started to grow up as a weapon on that team, was the Central Clay game.
Yeah.
And also on top of that, we talked to J.C. Collins and Parker yesterday. J.C.'s back to 100%. He had some carries last week, but he's definitely ready to go. So now you're going to have the 2 backs that you can switch out in between him and Caden all the time. That's going to further cement how much you can wear out that defense.
Right, and I don't know, I wouldn't call him 100%, but he's running and running well. But as you mentioned, 2 backs now. Since JC's gone down, you got Trayvon Stewart, who's turned this into a 3-headed backfield. And that kid, he's young and he's fast, but he can break a run at any point for 50, 60, 70 yards and score a touchdown. He's that dynamic.
Yeah, that's going to wear out a defense really quickly if you're going to. Remember back in the early part of the decade when Alabama was able to do that with 3 backs, how much it would make it worse before we went to all RPO and all glitz and glamour? That's what you could see.
Right. Well, and you look at the people we haven't talked about is the trenches. The offensive line for Jasper is so much larger, so much stronger than the defensive line for Central Clay. Even though Central Clay's got a guy on the defensive line that is a D1 prospect, Jasper's all the way across the board. I mean, those kids have played really well this year.
Yeah, it really helps with the experience, and those guys, we knew they were going to be good. Everybody said that before the year started, but I didn't know they'd be this good. I didn't know this offense would be this good. I mean, it's just, there's not a facet that's bad. The kicking game's good.
Yeah.
Especially the punter's good.
Yeah.
You know? They have no weakness. And if they just play up to their potential, this will be a runaway.
So we all in on Jasper?
Absolutely.
We're all in on Jasper.
That's pretty good. I
Hard
thought
not to
somebody may go against the home team. Not me. I gotta walk those sidelines every week. I got a kid on the team. I can't go against them.
Now, they haven't lost, I guess their only home loss since Moore has been there was Mortimer Jordan last year.
Right. Yeah.
That's it. This field's a little bit better condition than that game
And
last year.
I want to say this will be their 15th home game in 2 years. Like that's usually
Yeah,
you get
three
that.
last year, 3 extra.
Yeah, and you usually get that number of games in 3 years at home.
Yep, that's right.
So that's a lot of home games, and it's going to be a key factor. Being at Cairo is going to be a key factor in this game for sure. Who do they match up with next? How about we talk about that? You got Alexandria and Madison County playing each other. Madison County was taken to the wire with Corner, and Alexandria probably an upset over Sylacauga.
Both teams won by 3.
Yeah.
I think it was 10-7 Alexandria, and Corner. God, they tied the game and then lose 21-14.
Yeah.
A tough loss for them. I was hoping they'd make it.
Yeah. So how does Jasper match up next round? Do we want to look ahead?
I think they're going to match up really well. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't think. Look, I've said privately to all you guys, I think Jasper's biggest challenges through this entire thing is going to be Central Clay, and then in the 4th round, once you get to possibly Mortimer Jordan.
Yeah.
That's going to be, I think, probably the biggest challenge.
And the thing is, if they do end up matching up with Centerpoint at some point too, I mean they're good.
Yeah.
You know, I guess Centerpoint and Mortimer Jordan will have to play to figure that out.
Yeah, and it'll be one of those 2 teams in the 4th round, assuming Jasper gets there.
Right. Anything else high school wise?
We lost everybody.
I'll say,
Yeah.
unfortunately, we went down to 1 pretty quick.
Yep.
Yeah, we thought we'd have at least one more, but everybody fell last week, and I guess we kind of thought we'd have Jasper by themselves for a while though.
Yeah, I thought after this week maybe.
Yeah, I
It'd be
thought
Jasper.
we'd at least get another week of just 2 or 3 teams.
Yeah.
But didn't fall that way.
All right, how about college football this week? We just got the top 4 teams announced, and it's kind of exactly where we thought it would be.
Oh, we're gonna try not to discuss what happened last Saturday. That was a difficult. Everyone who watches this has heard Brian talk about his hate relationship with the Florida Gators. I kind of feel that way about LSU, and that was a painful experience. But it was also eye-opening as far as Alabama. That first half was terrible, and they're behind the 8 ball now. They don't control their own destiny heading forward.
Right. They played about as bad as they could play, I think, and still were within a touchdown of the top team in the country. So that says a lot. Though.
Yeah, and I think we can all agree LSU at this moment is hands down the best team in the nation right
Yeah, absolutely. There's no dispute to me.
now. Joe Burrow proved he is an elite quarterback. He'll be in the NFL, and he'll be very good in the NFL.
Absolutely.
I wouldn't have said that a year ago.
No,
That he would not be in the NFL.
and it's a huge turnaround. Y'all remember at SEC Media Days, I even asked Coach Orgeron about that. Just that bowl game they had last year against UCF, that's where it really started.
Yeah, well, and I think just his demeanor, everything about him is completely different this year. Like last year, you would have never seen him run for a first down, get up, and make a first down sign.
It's that.
I mean, he was so pumped up in that game against Alabama.
I stood on the sideline of Bryant Denny at the end of that game, and that entire team is like that. They have swagger like you have not seen from LSU possibly ever. I mean, we're talking like 90s Miami level swagger.
Right.
I mean, there's a lot of confidence on that team right now, and that's hard to beat. But no, I don't see them losing again. They've got Ole Miss, Arkansas, and Texas A&M, and then possibly Georgia and Atlanta. They should run through all 4 of those teams straight into the #1 seed in the playoff.
Right. And Alabama fans, we've talked about this week. Alabama fans need to be cheering for Auburn as much as possible.
Yes, they do. Alabama fans need to learn 3 things. First, the word war. The second word, eagle. And then they need to learn to add EAUX at the end of everything.
Right.
Alabama fans, they need LSU to win out, but then they better hope that Auburn looks really, really good all the way up to the Iron Bowl.
Right. And then a definitive win from Alabama in the Iron Bowl is what's needed. I'm sorry if you're the Auburn fan in the group.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I'm not feeling good about that game anyway, but I don't know if Auburn can do their job against Georgia.
Right.
You know, it's all about this offense. Can it
actually come alive and put points on the board. They can come alive, can move the ball all over the field, can actually get touchdowns.
The problem,
to the field goal attempts.
The problem with this game this Saturday is Auburn's best weapon consistently is Boobie Whitlow. And Georgia hasn't allowed a rushing touchdown all season. So Whitlow's not going to have a phenomenal game against the Bulldogs, and can Auburn produce enough in the passing game to be able to score on them?
This game comes down to Bo Nix.
Yes.
That's the game. The Georgia game will come down to Bo Nix. Can he make a difference? Can he make the plays when he needs to? And against pressure, he has not done that yet this year.
Are we going to go ahead?
Well, it's almost kind of like, guys, what you had a few years ago with Bo Wallace at Ole Miss. It's now with Bo Nix, you've got good Bo, bad Bo.
Right.
Well, what's going to show up?
He's been good at home. It was really bad on the road.
Yeah.
Against the two best teams they played.
Right.
This will probably be one of the top teams they play, so we'll see. Georgia defense is pretty good.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's a Kirby Smart defense. I mean, the man knows what he's doing on that side of the ball. Offensively, Georgia's not quite where we thought they would be, but I mean, they're still a good football team.
What about the other teams that are kind of trying to work their way into that national championship picture?
The weirdest thing right now is Clemson. I mean, the Tigers, we have no idea what they are because they haven't played anybody. The ACC is abysmal.
Right.
It's terrible.
Like, if you want my true pick right now for the top 4 teams, Georgia's ahead of Clemson.
I think they are too, even with the loss to South Carolina.
And I probably would throw Oklahoma ahead of Clemson. Like, I feel that strongly about Hurts is such a good player that I think he can beat Clemson.
Yeah.
Their defense.
Yeah, and
their defense is bad.
And that's the thing with Oklahoma. You're always going to run into the fact they have no defense whatsoever.
It'll be a shootout, but I still think they could beat Clemson.
Now, you want to throw a wrench into things? We know South Carolina can show up for big games.
Right.
What happens if South Carolina somehow knocks off Clemson at the end of the year?
Well, they get exposed.
Yeah.
I mean, because, look, their quality win on the season is Texas A&M.
Right.
Which has turned out to be a big flub this year, okay? Their second, they play a ranked opponent this week, number 24, Wake Forest, okay? Well, obviously, if they put away Wake Forest, they're going to drop out of the top 25. So what has Clemson really got to show for themselves? Well, what it really sticks out to me, that 1-point loss to win to North Carolina.
Right.
I mean, yeah.
It's an ugly win.
It is. And there was actually a scenario that I was hearing yesterday where it could be that 3 SEC teams end up in the playoffs along with Ohio State. Clemson gets locked out because of the fact that their strength of the schedule is abysmal.
I don't think if Clemson keeps winning, they're not going to get locked out because Georgia's going to lose. Yep. Or, they're probably going to lose to LSU in the championship game. So I think that keeps them in. Now, we had one team leave this week. Penn State's out. They were a pretender. They lost to Minnesota. Ohio State's still there. And Ohio State looks great. I mean, they look like a Cadillac. But they will lose at some point. I have no faith in Ohio State.
Here's the thing. Penn State has always been a thorn in Ohio State's side.
Right.
That's a pesky little game for them. Now, the big test for Ohio State, 9 weeks ago, I would have never guessed that Michigan would have a chance against the Buckeyes.
Right.
But after what they did to Notre Dame, not saying they'll win it.
But it's at home.
Yeah.
And Harbaugh needs a win like that.
If Harbaugh does not eventually beat Ohio State, he's going to be gone.
Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of like in this state. If you don't beat Alabama or Auburn and you're at their other school, that's what you're judged by. Yeah. Michigan has to beat Ohio State. And right now with them ranked, they're going to be 2. He's got to beat them.
Yeah.
And if he doesn't, I think you're probably getting within another year or so the end of the Jim Harbaugh era.
We've still got Oregon floating out there too. Like they've got that one loss to Auburn, but who have they beaten?
Yeah, I mean,
the Pac-12's so bad.
You have the Pac-12 and the ACC. Both conferences, as far as the Power 5, are just terrible. They are the bottom feeders. Oregon right now, and this kind of goes back to what we were talking about with Alabama and Auburn, where we need Auburn to do good. If Alabama beats Auburn, Auburn beat Oregon.
Right.
I mean, if we're going just by that logic.
And you're going just by one loss.
Yeah.
You definitely take Alabama in that scenario.
Yeah.
What we're not thinking about is how does a committee deal with Alabama fatigue? Do they actually? I know if this was up to fans in the country, Alabama would not.
Oh, they'd be left out big time. Yeah.
You want me to tell you how I know that's a thing? Give me another reason why Ohio State was number 1 in the initial rankings.
Right.
There was no reason.
There was
No,
no
there was
LSU
absolutely
no
should have
reason.
been number one. We all agree on
Mhm.
that.
Yeah.
I
Absolutely.
think the committee showed that there is a real, tangible SEC fatigue in that committee room.
Yeah, I think so too.
I think Alabama will end up having to. They'll have to do it.
Yeah.
Somebody's going to fall apart.
Yeah.
It happens almost every year.
It does. Well, and
Things you
Alabama's
never-
already proved that they can lose a game and then come back and win the national championship.
Mhm.
So that could definitely happen. All right, any games this week we want to predict? Alabama and Mississippi State. I think we know where that one's going.
Yeah, my first trip to Starkville.
Oh yeah,
Ever.
you're going to Starkville.
Yeah.
Oh, I've been there
Oh.
many times. It's not it's not the greatest atmosphere in the world. I love my Mississippi State people, but it's probably the worst atmosphere in the SEC.
But this is why it's going to be such an easy glide-in game for me because nobody will be showing up for it, and I
That's
could
true.
probably get in and out with
That's
it.
true. I got
That's
some friends over
absolutely
there that if you want to tailgate or something, I'll get you some good food at least.
It's an 11 a.m. game. I'm just going to be good to get there on
There you
time.
go. I got you.
Remember, on Friday night, we're going to be here we're going to be here wrapping up.
That's
So.
true.
Are you going to be getting you a souvenir cowbell while you're over there?
Nah, that's okay. If I'm going to take anything from a souvenir, it's probably going to be in the way of food. So.
You can never get used to those cowbells either.
Yeah.
That's bad. All right, how about what else we got this week?
Auburn, Georgia.
You're the Auburn guy.
Yeah, I mean, this is kind of like 2 years ago. In a way, they're at home. Georgia's from has looked terrible. It's not the same quarterback. I bet they wish they could have Fields right now. Now, if
Yeah.
they had Fields,
Oh,
they'd
my
kill them.
God.
But
Absolutely.
Fromm shows up in the big game. Like he showed up
He
against
did not show up.
Florida.
I want the Fromm that was at South Carolina.
Right.
I want that Fromm. They couldn't even score from the 2 yard
Right,
line.
he couldn't do
losing it.
anything.
They couldn't do. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But their running game, I mean, they're great. It's just gonna be. Auburn's defense will get worn out.
Yeah.
This is what usually happens when they lose. Fourth quarter, they'll be worn out.
Auburn's
Points will
offense is
start
going to
happening.
have to stay on the field.
Yeah,
they're gonna
I mean,
have to
like you
have
said
it.
earlier, it comes
Yeah.
down to Bo Nix.
Yeah.
Can he sustain drives? Just drive the ball, run the clock.
And in a way, it comes down to Gus.
Well,
'Cause
yeah,
what is
so
he gonna
play
call?
calls.
Yeah.
Field goals.
Yeah.
50-yard field goals. That's what he wants. They're going to have to hit a couple field goals, and I'll take a 3-0 win.
Yeah.
You know, I try to be neutral, but I'm going to go full Bammer here for a minute. We need Auburn to win this game. Desperately need Auburn to win this game because Alabama needs that signature win. So, with that said, knowing that the likelihood of Auburn winning this is very low, I'm going to pick Auburn and hopefully try to help will the Tigers to victory.
All that
for-
means I'm going to gain a game this week because I'm picking Georgia.
There you go.
I'm an Alabama fan too, but come on.
I got to be realistic too, guys. I don't see Auburn winning this because I don't think that Bo Wallace, when the pressure comes in, is going to be able to hack
Bo
his.
Nix. He's the same quarterback as Bo Wallace. Though.
I hope he ends
Let's
up
just
better
say let's just say Bo. How's
Right.
that? Okay, I don't
No,
think
because
Bo's
then when
gonna-
you talk about Bo and Auburn, there's another Bo. That's much better.
I'm still going to do it.
Hey, Miracle and Jordan Hare Part 2.
Right.
I mean, you realize this is a 2-point underdog. Y'all acting like
Yeah, no, I mean, it's
30
not, but
point
it's,
underdog.
I just don't trust their offense.
And
No,
that-
you
and
can't.
And that's
You
the
can't.
problem. I mean, you've got that offense that has struggled against a defense like Georgia's that hasn't given up a rushing touchdown all year.
But I was at the last Auburn and Georgia game in Auburn,
That team was better.
and that was like you didn't go into that thinking Auburn was going to win that game the way they did, and they just destroyed Georgia. You know.
Stidham.
Yeah, yeah. But I
Probably one
mean,
of his best games.
did we think Stidham was going to do that coming into that game? It's kind of similar to maybe this is Bo Nix's homecoming, or you know.
Well,
He's
we'll
gonna
say
show out
this
in this one.
much. I do think that Jonathan's field goal, a whole lot of field goals, comes as a precedent. So I'm actually going to pick a little bit of a weird score, 21-15. I think I think there's a whole lot of field goals that go in there and an odd touchdown that comes in. But I think that's where the problem really comes in, is that the offense is not consistent enough to produce a whole lot of drives. So I'm going to say actually 21-15, 21-16,
Yeah.
somewhere in there for Georgia.
I mean, last time Auburn was on the field, they almost lost to Ole Miss.
That's true.
Had all this yardage, doubled them up in yardage, and could not score a touchdown. Couldn't even hit a field goal either. I mean, missed 3. And, I mean, Ole Miss had the ball driving to win that game. So what about that?
What's your pick?
I'm taking Georgia.
Like I just like to hear it though. I like to hear Jonathan go. I might take Georgia.
Yeah, I should have stuck with my gut instinct last week on mine.
Right, yeah. You should have. I mean, you were going to
Yeah,
go
you
that
said that
direction.
all year.
And y'all can feel free to make fun of me for my Cleveland Browns shirt.
It looks kind of like a Clemson shirt.
No.
Actually, I thought it was when you
Yeah,
first looked at it.
I'm telling you, it looks similar to Clemson.
This is how I stay balanced in life, is that I am an Alabama fan, but I'm also a Cleveland Browns fan. So, but what happened
won.
this week?
They won.
Alabama loses, Cleveland wins. Perfect balance for James.
Look, orange is orange is orange is orange.
Right.
It's all terrible.
It's difficult to wear this in Alabama, though, because people automatically,
Tennessee fan.
Tennessee, you know,
That's a little
Auburn,
bit. See, that's too dark. For
whatever.
It's
Tennessee.
Clemson.
Yeah.
It's a Clemson orange.
Yeah.
it is a Cleveland Browns orange, is what it is.
It's almost like that burnt Texas orange a little bit.
I'll take that over any of the other ones you mentioned.
Yeah.
Oh, we can talk about Tennessee. They might be in the Birmingham Bowl after all this.
That's true, yeah. They picked up that win last week over Kentucky. All they got to do is win what? They've got
Vanderbilt.
You know, for a team that we were making fun of every week,
Yeah.
it has been a really good turnaround for them.
Yeah.
They have turned around. Well, anything else, guys?
I did.
Go Vikes.
Go Vikes.
Go Vikes.
I'll agree on that
Go
for sure.
Vikes.
Yep.
All right, and go Vikes to you guys. Be sure to tune in next week when we break down how Jasper will be winning in the next round, because we know they're going to pull this game out, right?
Hope so.
Yeah.
All right, see you guys next week.